This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform for building your brand and growing your business online. Have you guys ever been tossing and turning at night? You can't seem to fall asleep because just the thought of something that may be hiding under the closet door, or that feeling of walking through the hallway and you feel like something's at your back. Have you ever thought about what causes these things? Well, if you read thrillers, that may be a cause of it. Does that make any sense? No? I don't know. Some of us, we may chase that thrilling experience. I, for one, am not really one of those. Okay? Don't really want to feel my blood pressure elevate at all. At all, actually. I have crippling anxiety. But in today's video, I decided to put 5 thriller books to the test. What is the test, you guys may be asking? Actually, I haven't quite figured that out yet, so maybe we can figure it out on this journey together. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm going to be reading 5 different thrillers in today's video, and I am just going to see if I like them. That's literally it. That's the video. I did this with fantasy books a few months ago, where I read 5 different fantasy books in 5 days. We're going to be completely transparent here. Did not read 5 thriller books in 5 days. This took me like a week and a half to do. I kind of have the, whatever being a tough critic, tough rater, whatever that means. So we're gonna see. I feel like I am the most critical of thrillers because, I mean, when we think about thrillers, we want them to be like super plot twistable and all of these different things. So I kind of hold thrillers to a high standard. Sorry, I have standards. What do you guys want me to do about it? So we're just basically going to read these 5 thrillers, and if you guys follow me on Goodreads, you guys have already seen these ratings, but I'm going to have to ask you guys to pretend and not be real and act like you guys didn't see those ratings when you go into this video. So here we are. Let's read 5 thrillers this week and see how much I like them. Okay, go on, watch the video. Gosh. I'm gonna try to talk through. Oh, this is gonna be so annoying. The first book that I'm starting off with in today's video is Wrong Place, Wrong Time, and this is actually a book that I had started in June, and then I picked it back up. And I have to say that, like, when I read thrillers, something that I never like really notice is like the writing, like the quality of the writing, and like how they phrase things. Talking through this is hard. People are working on the roof today, but I noticed with this book, the writing is really good, is all I have to say, and I've been enjoying it thus far, is what I should say, and end this clip because no one wants to hear this. As I have read more of this book, I am now on page 126. Because when I heard everybody talk about this book, everyone describes it as a thriller, but now I'm wondering if it's a thriller or if it's just a book. Like, I don't know what genre you'd classify this as. This has to be a thriller, because you know, like, when an author like writes a book and it's in a certain genre, and they probably, I think they like send the books to other authors in that genre. Alice Feeney, Ruth Ware, who's like very respected. Those are like the only 2 that I know. Oh, and Lisa Jewell, who's also another thriller author. So I think this is like a thriller, but it just doesn't even feel like a thriller. Maybe this little shimmy with my shoulders is funny. It's not that the book is bad. It's just that why has this been happening to me with multiple books lately, where it will say it's one genre and then I read it and it doesn't feel like that genre at all. Like, this doesn't feel like a thriller. It feels like a mystery. And I know like mystery and thrillers kind of go hand in hand, but then again, no, they don't. I feel like thrillers, it's like thrilling. It's thrilling, but I guess all thrillers are a mystery. There's like no thrilling aspect to this. It's very mundane. It's kind of like, can we put the pieces of this puzzle together type of thing. It doesn't feel like, you know, it's not bad, and I like the writing, like I've already stated. I mean, it's a thriller. It has to be a thriller, because why else would a bunch of thriller authors be? You know what? Let's look it up on Goodreads. It is. Okay, so because also in this book, something that I've noticed is that they say all right as a form of greeting. And this takes place in Liverpool, England. And so, like, as a form of greeting, when they see each other on the street, they go, all right, like, all right, all right, all right. What accent was that? But it says that it won the British Book Award for Crime and Thriller, and it was the Goodreads Choice Award for Mystery and Thriller in 2022. This was not the Thriller Award for 2022, I didn't think. Maybe it was. Anyway, so it's a thriller. And if it won awards, it must be good. It's not bad. Like, I'm not saying the book is bad. It is a little mundane, though. I think things would have to, like, start picking up. For me, a good thriller, it's like I can't guess the plot twist, and it's very fast-paced. Because when thrillers don't feel fast-paced, it's just kind of like, I don't know. I am filming this clip because I am on page 225. I think that I've guessed the plot twist. Okay, I didn't guess that. No, I didn't guess that. I both love when a thriller can catch me off guard, and I hate it because I want to best it. I want to be able to guess. I'm on page 316 and I have like this much of it left. So I'm going to see if this storyline like sticks through the rest of it. But it's been pretty good so far. This has been a very good, like, where I've like flown through this book. Okay, I have finished the first thriller for today's video. This was so good. Let me just tell you this. The last thriller that I read and felt very like a visceral reaction out of was when I read The Last Word by Taylor Adams. And that one was different because that one was genuinely like what I would call a thriller, where even like the content of the book was a little bit more thrilling and a little bit more like cutthroat that was going on. This one I would say is like a mystery thriller. The two do kind of go hand in hand. It was so good. I did not see a single one of the plot twists coming. I think there was like a few like little things that happened that had crossed my mind at some point, but I can't even like say that I had guessed them, and maybe you guys are gonna look at me and go, how could you not guess it? It was so clear. I had to put this book down and I had to take my dad to work, and while I was driving I was literally thinking like midway through this book, I was like, what could the plot twist be? And I didn't even guess it. While it was a mystery, it also had these underlying themes of like motherhood, and it was just like, it hit. I don't know how else to say it. Like, that is just so like descriptive. Like, that is not a good like describing thing on my part. She ends it with this, because like I said, there's themes of motherhood, and she ends it with hysterical strength. Hysterical strength is the display of extreme strength by humans beyond what is believed to be normal, usually occurring in life or death situations, particularly involving mothers. Anecdotal reports are of women lifting cars to rescue newborn babies, sometimes creating a huge force field of energy. Indeed, more supernatural reports have also been noted, such as time loops. Though none have been proven to date, sufferers often report deja vu alongside episodes of hysterical strength. That is like essentially what this whole entire book is about. It's basically like a mom trying to do anything she can to like help her son. And while you were like trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together, you were also kind of seeing this mom relive like moments of her life in the past, like also trying to put pieces of the puzzle together, but also trying to see what she could have done better as a mother, and like kind of like parenting and like looking at a child through a mother's eyes. Like, it was so interesting because not only was it like a mystery that you were putting together, but you also got that, and I enjoyed it. I had a great time reading this book. I honestly flew through it, and I feel like I really liked the plotline that this took, because literally earlier I just said that I feel like thrillers sometimes can take like the same plot structure and they can all start to feel the same. With this one involving like time travel and things like that, I feel like it didn't like follow the same plot structure as all thrillers do, so I was pleasantly surprised. I think I'm gonna rate it a 4.5. The reason that it's not a 5 is because there were some parts of the book like towards the middle when I put it down that it was getting fairly repetitive, but I feel like whenever you do the whole entire like time travel plot line, time travel trope, whatever you want to call it, it can get super repetitive because like you're going back and you're kind of like experiencing the same emotions over again and like doing all of this stuff. So that is like the only reason it wasn't 5 stars, because it wasn't just like a few chapters, it was like a pretty long period of time where things got a little bit repetitive. We're surely done for today's video. We're off to a great start. I'm very interested to see how all of this will pan out because we know I'm already a harsh rater. I'm very interested. Oh, I didn't even realize that it does the little half cover thing. When the book's so good you don't even realize one of your book icks about it. That's good to me. Hello everybody and welcome to day 2 of reading thrillers. So today we have an interesting pick. So I have decided that book number 2 for this video is going to be The Inmate by Freida McFadden. Now Freida McFadden is kind of blowing up in like the thriller space. There are 3 rules that Brooke Sullivan must follow as a new nurse practitioner at a men's maximum security prison. Treat all prisoners with respect, never reveal any personal information, and never ever become too friendly with the inmates. But none of the staff at the prison knows Brooke has already broken the rules. Nobody knows about her inmate connection to Shane Nelson. Very interesting. I read The Housemaid by Freida McFadden and I was thoroughly surprised with how much I enjoyed that book. I've heard a lot of good things about Freida McFadden, so if this one's good, I want to order at least like a few more of her books and read a few more of her books. And so we shall see, but we're starting The Inmate by Freida McFadden as our second thriller for today's video. But I will be reading it on my Kindle because all of her books are on Kindle Unlimited. I'm pretty sure she's a self-published author, because I was trying to explain this in another video that I'm doing, but I was talking about this. Like indie authors, their books just have a different feel to them. Like the quality of the book is a different type of book. I don't know how to properly explain that in words, but it just is. Update time. I actually finished The Inmate by Freida McFadden literally days ago. I finished it the day that I started it, but the funny story is with that is that I actually started reading it, fell asleep at like 9 p.m, woke back up at like midnight, and then like stayed up till like 2 to finish the book. And I actually ended up giving this one a 2 stars. So for right now with Freida McFadden, where we stand as like me and her books, one book has a 4 stars, the other book, this one, having a 2. So maybe we'll do like a Freida McFadden taste test, who knows. With this book, my problem, especially after sitting on it, is that the plot twists I didn't see coming. So almost outlandish in a way. I don't know if it's the plot twists were outlandish or if Freida McFadden like purposely was like, look over here while like this is really going on type of thing. I thought that the plot twist, when I thought that I was right, I was wrong with the plot twist, but I thought that like, oh, I'm guessing these like so easy. And I didn't, which is why I gave it a 2 stars. It's because it did get me with the plot twist. Anything else in this book, it was just not good. Nothing was happening. I wish I could put into words what I mean with the plot twist, and I try not to really go into reviews with thrillers because thrillers, you kind of need to know very little amount of information going into them. There was nothing going on in the story, and like there's a kind of like then timeline explaining this event that happened that you definitely do not need like multiple chapters of explaining, because you kind of just get it. As soon as the event is even like referenced or talked about, you can kind of guess. Also, the way that this book ended, I was like, huh. that's interesting. I don't know, this one just was not a favorite for me, but I did give it a 2 stars because the plot twists, like I called it outlandish earlier, but then I can see where she would have like taken them from. Creds to her for yet again not getting me with the plot twist, but just everything else about this book was just okay. So for this video we have 3 more options because I wanted to do this video to try to get through the thrillers that are on my TBR for this month. And so we have these 3 books. We have The Turn of the Key, A Flicker in the Dark, and The Only One Left. Now, I actually did start The Turn of the Key, so I am going to read this by the pool, soak up the last hopeful bits of summer, because I love summer, but I feel like I am just so ready for fall and the coziness of like having a thriller in the fall and feeling that. So I feel like I'm also trying to like get those vibes from this video, but it is literally 100 degrees this week. I'm going to go lay out by the pool and try to get through as much as I can of The Turn of the Key. I haven't read any of Ruth Ware's books before, so I'm very interested to see. I don't know if it keeps with the same format, but it's told in like letters, or maybe it is, but it just keeps going. I don't know, but it starts out with her writing a letter to somebody, and there's like a few of them, so very interested to see. Let's start The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. If only there was a website that I could find more thrillers to read, because I'm really at a crossroads here. Well, maybe I can make the website, but what would I make it on? Wait, I think I've heard Destiny talk about Squarespace before. You guys know that I've talked about Squarespace so many times on my channel. They're absolutely the way to go if you guys are wanting to launch, whether that's like an online storefront, a blog, anything of the sort where you need to use a website, then Squarespace is 100% the way to go. Genuinely, one of the things that I want to stress to you guys is how absolutely user-friendly they are. When I say that like I don't know how to do complicated things very well, I mean that 100%. Like if something is hard, the probability of me doing it is extremely low. And so with Squarespace, all you have to do is you just sign into Squarespace, you sign up for a free trial, you can browse so many different templates. It just makes it so much easier to like launch into something and build it quicker. That way you can kind of get more of a feel of how you want things to look. There are so many templates and you can customize them in so many ways. They don't have to look like that. You can change coloring, spacing, font. You can just change it up, and maybe you just want to use like the base design of it. It's so simple and easy. Another thing too is just how much data that Squarespace gives you as somebody who may be running a storefront, for example. You can see the traffic that's coming through your website, where they're coming from, like what's making them click onto your website, what's working, what's not working, and you can control scheduling, all of these different things. If you're maybe running a business out of it, literally the possibilities are absolutely endless. And also one of the things that I use the most on Squarespace is their blogging feature, where I can essentially connect all of my social medias. That way it's all in one place. I have been trying to work on a blog personally, and I've been trying to put some work into that and put everything in one cohesive place. That way you guys can like share different things, you guys can comment with the blog tool, you guys can comment to other people as well and make it one big shared community. So if you guys are wanting to head to Squarespace, you guys can actually head to squarespace.com and you guys can start your free trial. And then when you guys are ready to launch, you guys can head to squarespace.com/DestinySidwell to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much again to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video, and let's make a website where we can browse thrillers, more thrillers to read for this video. Okay guys, so it's actually very much so the next day, and I'm on page 100. This is so funny because I just decided to update, but I wanted to update on page 100. I didn't know I was on page 100. Slay on my part. So far, the first 100 pages, it's like weird because usually I feel that thrillers are, you know, like maybe around 300 or so pages, and you don't really get to like know your setting. I feel like you get put into a setting, you meet the character, and you kind of start to like get details along the way. I feel like Ruth Ware's writing is very good. It's extremely descriptive. I can imagine in my head like the scenery that's going on very well, and I feel like that's very purposeful. It's just like I feel like this first 100 pages has all been spent talking about like this house that she is taking this nannying job at. And the thing is that it feels like very similar in certain ways to The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. I don't know, we'll see if that is the same thing that keeps going on. So far, it hasn't been bad. It's just that we are kind of getting little hints of like maybe what the thing's about, like some paranormal things, I think. I don't know what else is going on. I don't really have an opinion on whether or not I like the book yet. I just feel like the first 100 pages has all been setting up, and it's just funny because I feel like that's not how all thrillers are. Like I don't think thrillers spend a chunk of the time setting up the book. I feel like we have just now gotten to the part of the book where like maybe the story will start going, and it's been kind of hard. Like I've wanted to put the book down multiple times, but I don't let myself. See if the book picks up. I think the book is like close to 400 pages. We shall see. It's also interesting reading this because the narrator is the main character, and in a way you can tell the flaws of this character are negative and like you don't like about the main character, and it feels intentional. Like these are things that you kind of read and kind of go like, you know, like this doesn't seem really all that great of you to like be behaving this way. Like sometimes her behavior with the kids are like getting unnecessarily mad, and you're like, maybe you shouldn't be a nanny. This doesn't seem like the career path for you, babes. Little tiny update on the book. I am on page 132. I'm gonna have to move from this spot because daylight is running out, and that's what I've been using, like the window. We are still on day 1 of her like nannying job, and it's been like 30 plus pages, and we're still on day 1. I think Ruth Ware has amazing writing. Whenever I'm reading a thriller, I don't really take notice of the writing, even though I feel like for a book to be a good thriller, writing does kind of go hand in hand with that. But I have taken notice that her writing is very good. However, it's almost overly descriptive and like the details and just everything. But then it even is like self-aware because like at one point it references like how much detail is going into it, but at this point I'm like 40% through the book and we're only on day 1. Oh, it was the shadow of the chair. I was so confused for... Anyway, guys, that's the next day, and I just finished The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, and I had updated on my Goodreads. I've been sticking to that, but I updated on my Goodreads. I was reading this, and I got a few comments of people that were like, oh my god, I can't wait to see what you think, and then I'm like... as I'm putting the 2-star rating in on Goodreads. This is so hard. I actually ended up saying this is like a 2.5. It's so close to a 3. By the time that I get to my monthly reading wrap up, I don't know if it will change, if it will stay at a 2.5 or if it will bump up to a 3. When I think about this book, I think Ruth Ware has great writing, and I loved like the story of this book. Like I thought it was pretty interesting. The kind of smart house, but is it haunted, and like all of this stuff that was like going on in this book. But my thing is, this book is how many pages? 336 pages, and I'm pretty sure it only takes place over a span of like a week, maybe a week. Just like so many details were like dragged out. Particularly there was one storyline that was heavily talked about, and it kind of had a purpose at the end, but I don't know whether like that was what Ruth Ware was trying to do, or if she was just kind of trying to do a like, look over here, maybe it's this type of thing, when it was really like this thing all along. You spend so much time on this, and then it's like not even really a thing. And one of the plot twists I did guess, but it was just kind of like very apparent, and it wasn't like a huge, I don't know, I mean, it was a big plot twist. I'm trying to think of the 5-star thrillers that I've read. Like when I read The Last Word by Taylor Adams and I rated that a 5 stars, I was genuinely like in my bed like, oh my gosh, I cannot stop turning the page. Like I need to know what happens. My heart feels like it's beating out of my chest, not because I'm scared, but because I'm just so like, it's thrilling. That's why it's called a thriller. With this one, I thought that Ruth Ware did the storytelling very well, and I really liked the way that the story was told, except dragged so much stuff out where like, I feel like also when you read a thriller, you want it to be fast paced. That way, you know, it kind of feels like a fast book to get through. This did not feel like any of that, and it sounds like I don't like it, but the thing is that I can appreciate really good writing and a very good sense of storytelling, which Ruth Ware does have, but in the sense of me rating a thriller, wasn't that whatever. And also at the end of this book, if you guys I completely get the end of the book. I completely get it, but it pissed me off to no end, to the point where I was genuinely angry. Like I was reading it on my Kindle and I turned it off, and I was just sitting there like, and maybe that's what Ruth Ware wanted. Like maybe that's the reaction that she wanted. Okay, here's what it felt like to me. It felt like you kind of spend this whole, like something's introduced in the beginning, and then you spend the whole entire story learning the events up to what happened, and you're like, what happened, like who did this, what's going on. And then it almost just kind of felt like a cop-out in ways. Like, it just felt like there was nothing pointing to that, and it just felt like so out of place. It just felt like a cop-out. Like, it just felt like, oh wait, I forgot to explain this, because for a second I just thought we were going to explain it. Like, I just thought like, okay, cool. And then it's explained like in the last like 2 pages, and you're like, oh. Like I said, it just felt like a cop-out. Like, oh, we're just gonna write this. And I could kind of see it coming, but I didn't really see it coming. Gave this, as of right now, a 2.5 stars. It's been sitting on my TBR for at least a year. So, you know what? There's always a good feeling when you pick up a book off your TBR. So there's that. Okay guys, we're back in this corner because I have the last 2 books for today's video, which in an ideal world, I would love to read both of these books today and get this video up. I think the next one I'm going to read is A Flicker in the Dark, because if we're just going to be honest, I am really anticipating the new Riley Sager book and feeling like this will be really good. So does anybody else have this feeling where you're like, I want to do the one that I'm least excited for first, because if I read this one and then the video has to end off on this one, but it takes me a long time to get through this one because I already read this one and I don't have anything else to look forward to. Like, if this isn't good, at least my motivation will be because I really want to read this one, if that makes any sense. Okay, this is A Flicker in the Dark. Here's the thing, Stacey Willingham, I'm pretty sure people talk a lot about her thrillers and say that they really, really like them. This one is about I think she's a psychologist, yes, and she has like a past where her dad was like the serial killer, and girls start going missing in the same manner that they did when her dad was kidnapping girls, but her dad's been in prison for years. What's going on? Let's see, let's read A Flicker in the Dark. This book is almost, it's like 350 pages. All the Dangerous Things is her other book. So let's see. Okay, let's try to articulate some thoughts on A Flicker in the Dark. Finished this about like an hour and a half ago. I think the rating that I settled on with this video, I think the rating that I settled on with this book is a 3.5 stars. The reasoning for the 3.5 is because the plot twist didn't catch me like 100% off guard. It was a guess that I had. Went through the book and I kind of started off with this guess for the plot twist, and then I was like, no, that's like too obvious. Okay, stick with me. It was too obvious, and then I thought about the plot twist and I was like, that can make sense. And then I just decided to kind of like vibe out with it and not even like think about a plot twist. So now we're here. And so it didn't catch me 100% off guard, but I did think it was a really good plot twist. I really enjoyed the book as well, like the way that it was kind of set, and also in some parts you kind of feel like maybe is the narrator a little unreliable because the people around her kind of think she's a little crazy. And I like that feeling when I'm in a thriller. I like that like surprise of a feeling. It reminded me a lot of The Lovely Bones. If you guys have seen the movie, read the book, it reminded me a lot of that. For some reason, when I thought about like going into this book, I just thought like I wasn't going to like it. I've read a thriller specifically that has a premise that is kind of similar to this one, and I didn't really like that one, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna love this. But then I ended up thoroughly enjoying it, giving it 3.5 stars, which is a pretty good rating for me with a thriller. I would recommend this one. I feel like the plot twist of this one could keep you off guard. Do I feel like the book is super fast-paced? No. Could you guess probably a lot of the stuff that's gonna happen? Maybe. I don't know. That's for you to judge. We are going to move on to the last book of today's video, which is honestly my most anticipated like book of the video, and I was saving the best for last. Maybe, what if I hate this book? Anyway, that is the only one left by Riley Sager. So actually I had put this book literally on a wish list because I was on Amazon a few months ago and saw that this was going to be releasing. I think it released last month. I think. Did it release in July or June? I can't remember, but I was so excited for this, so I have been wanting to read it, and I got it from Book of the Month. You guys know, when the sleeve comes off, we mean business. I've heard this to be described as kind of like a gothic thriller. I think because of the setting of it, it's supposed to be like, I think she's a caretaker for this woman who like committed these like Lizzie Borden style murders of her family, which if you guys don't know, the like, wait, Lizzie Borden's a real person, right? It's like an actual murder that went on where Lizzie Borden, you guys know, Lizzie Borden took an axe, we're not gonna get into that. But it's like that little like rhyme that I feel like kids did, or at least kids at my school said, where I think she murdered her whole entire family with an axe. So it's like a house and she takes care of this woman who did it, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm excited to start it. So I'm gonna read some of this, hopefully finish it today. It's literally day like 15 of reading this book. That's like super over dramatic, but it's day 3 of reading The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I've just been super busy the past few days. I wanted to get this video done like literally a week ago. That did not work out. It's the last video. No, why do I always say that? This is the last book for today's video. So I'm actually sitting at 50% through this book right now. And I have to say, like, I'm enjoying it. It doesn't feel very, like, thrilling. Actually, my thoughts on this book are very complicated. I'm enjoying it, and I think it's a good book. Thriller-wise, like, we kind of have this premise, but it feels like it's moving slowly. And there's, like, so many pieces of the puzzle where I'm like, how do these all fit? And I'm just interested to see, like, how it goes on. But I'm not enjoying the book at all. Like, when I get into reading it, I'm into reading it. I just don't feel like it's very, like, thrilling. Like, Riley Sager has honestly been very hit or miss for me. So we'll see what I think about this one, but I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it. Finished it. Okay. So I couldn't get the camera on the tripod. Literally, what's going on? However, I did finish The Only One Left by Riley Sager hours ago. Like, when I say hours ago, I mean hours ago. So I was supposed to start editing this video hours ago, but I am just now getting around to everything. So my final thoughts and ratings on Riley Sager's The Only One Left. So I also have been trying to give myself a few hours before I like talk about it, like when I'm doing videos like this, like talking about it, because I can either get more or less harsh as time goes on, and that really depends on how I felt about the book. So I think in this circumstance it has made me less harsh. Like, I didn't dislike this book at all. I think I'm honestly gonna have this sit at like I was going to say 4, but I think I'm gonna say a 3.5. It's so odd because I was like very much into the story when I was reading it, but I felt like so much of the middle was entirely like dragged out. And then at the end, which I do like the feeling at the end when like a bunch of stuff starts like unraveling, like I like that feeling. I also didn't guess the plot twists, which always make a thriller good. Like, I don't want to be able to guess them. Like, I want to try my hardest to guess them, but always be proven wrong. But be proven wrong in a way that feels like, oh, I just missed that, you know, like I missed it, and not in a way that's like, how was that even a thing? Now, I will say, like, all the plot twists happen in the book, and then the very end of the book, something happens, and it's like so kind of ridiculous that it's funny. I laughed out loud, like when I was finishing the book. I was like, oh, there's no way that this is like actually happening. And I kind of want to give it a 4 just because like I really liked the vibes, like the house being on top of this cliff, because when you look at the cover, like how the house is sitting on top of the cliff, that's how it's described in the book. And you get these descriptions of the house. Like, I feel like Riley Sager did a very good job of the descriptions as well, and like really putting myself into the like house and everything. Also, just something about Riley Sager that I do want to say I feel like has improved, because when I first read The Final Girls by Riley Sager, I think it was my first book by him, and I just felt like the tone of it reeked of like a man writing a woman. And I feel like as I've read more Riley Sager books, that has gotten better. But especially with this one, I didn't feel like it felt that like a man writing a woman, like how she thinks type of thing, which I also appreciate. That's just something that I always go into Riley Sager novels like thinking about. I'm in between a 3.5 to a 4. Right now it's sitting at a 3.5. That is the last book for today's video. So all in all, we read, how many thrillers did I read? We read Wrong Place, Wrong Time, which I ended up giving a 4 stars. Then I read The Inmate by Frida McFadden, which I gave a 2. Then I read, what was it? Locked to the Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, which I think I also gave a 2. And then I read this one, which I gave a 3.5. So I think we read 4 in this video. I don't know. I haven't read thrillers in a while, so it was very interesting to get back into them. Who knows the next time I'm going to pick up a thriller, but I will say that I did get through all of the thrillers that were sitting on my TBR for the month, so this video was a good way of getting through them. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff you guys know how to do, and I will see you guys when I see ya. Peace.